Okay, this video is for lesson 25, Turtle Intro to For Loops. Now you'll notice when I'm at the website here, the Replit site, and I get to the assignment, you're going to see over here in the instructions it says you are not typing any code to the left. Instead, watch Mr. Grabowski's video. That's this one. So you're not going to do anything here. What we're going to do is we're going to just click on this Replit, exit out of our classroom, go back to the main Replit page. Mine's really slow, it's sitting here thinking. Alright, so here we go. And then we're going to create a new one, just like we did in the last one. Make sure it's Python with Turtle. And in this case, I'm going to call it For Loops Example. And down here it says failed to connect. I'm just going to pause for a second. Sometimes it does that. It gets hung up for a little while. Just give it some time. And I like to just click out here in the white space. Sometimes that helps bring it back. Alright, so here we are. We're going to play around with the for loop. So I'm just going to paste what I have. Let's see here. Control V. Okay, so here's what's going on. You always have to do this first of all. From Turtle import star. So we've got the full Turtle module imported. But now here's the new command. It's called the for loop. For I is a variable, in range 200. Now I can change this number to 200, or I can change it to 10. I'm just going to go to 10 here to make it really small. And that's just saying how many times this thing is going to loop. Notice whatever's indented is going to do it that many times. Now what does the I mean? What's so cool about these for loops is it could stand for indexing if you want to. I think it's actually something else. You could look it up online, but most people just call it an index. Most for loops programmers use an I, but you could use any variable that you want. Now, so what do I have going on underneath it? I have moving forward I, so the first time it's going to move 0, because these for loops always start counting with 0. Computers always start counting with 0 unless you modify it somehow or give it a different instruction to start somewhere else. But typically when they count, they always start with 0. So it was 0 the first time through, then it's 1, then it's 2, and then it's 3. And actually to prove that, I'm just going to hit print I. Okay, and then it's going to move left 200. So it only moves forward 1. Let's do it 100 times. Now let's just do it 10. Okay, run. So the turtle starts going through and doing its little thing 10 times. It moves forward 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And it stopped running. Once it got up to 10, it didn't go far enough because it's hard to see. So here's what I'm going to do. I plus 50. So then it'll go 51, 52, 53. Alright, let's try that. There we go. That's more like it. Now, I want this to go faster. So let's learn a new command here. We can set speed for whatever we want. Let's try 10 here. Okay, now if I want it to go more than 10, let's say I want it to go 100 times. So 100 loops. And it just keeps going. And rather than sit here and wait for it to finish, I'm going to speed that up a little bit. I think the highest it goes is 100 for speed. Let's try it. Ooh, there we go. Look how fast that goes. And here's the printing, the output here. When I said print I, that verifies that, look, it does start counting at 0 the first time through. So the I is set to 0, then the I is set to 1, then the I is set to 2. And that's what the beauty of these for loops is, that you can use the I in your command. And notice it's like a growing number here. This I keeps growing. Alright, so I want you guys to play around with this. But first I want to show you a couple other fun tips. Okay, so I just clicked on a new tab here. And I typed in Python turtle commands. And just like we did last time in the last video, docs.python.org, So I want to go back to that website and look at some commands, the color command, so that we can change colors. And if I go down here, pen control, pen color, here we are. Click on that and it scrolls me down and talks about pen color. Now, so there's the command, pen color, but it says you can use built-in red, yellow, TK color specific strings with words, or we can use hexadecimal. They're both a little confusing at first. I mean, this makes more sense to you guys. TK color specification. I'm just going to copy this, open up a new window, and I'll show you there's like loads and loads of colors that are built in. So I think if you use these words, that's what the red, green, blue is, but I think these are built in. Like you could use coral. But I want to show you the other way to do it, where you get to control the RGB using hexadecimal numbers. So I open up a new Google window and I typed in RGB to hex. And Google has a color picker right there without even having to do a search. And how this works is, if I were to drag this all the way up here into this left corner, it's showing that that's the color white. It's 255, 255, 255. That's the highest number that the R would go is 255, G, and blue. Each of these numbers stand for R, G, B. And then here's the hex equivalent. It converts it for you. If I drag it all the way down to the opposite corner, if it's black, its RGB is 000, and then the hex equivalent is 000. But let's say, so obviously you can go drag to whatever base color you want and then get whatever variety of it that you want. I'm just going to go with blue because we can see that on the screen pretty good. Alright, it'll be a nice medium blue. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight this, copy it, and then use that pen. Okay, so I've got a different one opened up here, and I just copied in any color that I had. I see this one is a blue color, because you can see I just tested it. I paused the video and tested it. But anyway, here's the key is I'm trying to show you this command, pen color. So you can change this to whatever you want. Now it's a little bit different color. See, it's a darker blue, and so forth. Also, there's one other thing that we can do. Well, there's many other things, but let's change this to the width of the pen. And I think by default, I think it's just 1. Let's make it pretty big here. Oh, and these guys should have been backed up here because I copied and pasted it. There we go. So it's only 1 indent in. Yeah, and see the line color is a lot thicker. Now one more thing, you guys can also do a for loop within a for loop. You could have it indented in here where it does something after it draws each line. So for example, if I copy this, I hit enter, control V to paste it, and then these guys, okay, so instead of 100, I just want it to do like 3, maybe 3 things, 3 loops each time. And then this, and let's do a right. I should probably change the pen color for this. So what I want to do is, let's do it at 60 degrees. Let's put the pen color in this loop. Get rid of that. Then let's put the pen color in this loop. And let's change this to, let's try that. Okay, and then instead of width of 3, let's just get rid of width if it's, well, set it to 1. We'll set this one back down to 2 so it's not so thick. So what it's going to do is it runs through this first for loop. It runs through everything here. Now since this for loop is indented underneath it, it's going to do all of this, but it's 3 or so it does this 3 times, then it goes back up, and then it sets this I to number 2. Oh, and I forgot that whenever you should change the variable so you don't get confused here. So I'm going to use J. And then down here I'm going to change this to J. And instead of 50, we're going to change this to a smaller number. How about like 10? So it should draw one line. Then it'll do the other 3 loops. It'll draw 3 lines with this other color. So let's just see what happens. So every time it gets to the end, it draws like a, let's change this 60% or 60 degree angle to 210. It's pretty cool though. Let's see what happens. Because it's going 210 degrees. So you can play around with it. A for loop within a for loop, and play around with the colors. Alright, and then one last thing. How do you turn this in? You're going to turn it in by clicking on the share button. It creates a link down here. Hit copy. So now it's saved in the background. And then you're going to open up your email, go to new message, and you're going to email this link to me. You're going to email it to Douglas Grabowski. Oops, I meant to show you guys the, it's douglas.grabowski@d11.org. And then oops, didn't mean to click right there. And your subject should be turtle drawing. That's what you're sending me. And so the requirements, before you send this, just make sure that you fulfill the requirements are, I want you guys to change at least the color of the cursor, and in your drawing use at least 2 for loops. So you can have, if you'd like, you could use a nested for loop as I showed you, or you can use a, let's see here, like mine is nested underneath the other one, or this one right here could be unindented if you want. And then it'll first just do this one, and then it does this one second after that. And for this to be proper, I'd have to backspace this. But I want you guys to do at least 2 for loops, and then you're going to be sending it to me, email it to me. Alright, you can do a lot more than that if you'd like.